It starts with a jaywalking ticket you never received. You're late for work. You're in Shenzhen, one of the most surveilled cities on Earth. 700 million cameras watch China. One camera for every two citizens. You don't think about them anymore. Nobody does. They're on traffic lights, on lampposts, on the walls of apartment buildings, inside elevators, above store entrances. They see everything. And this morning, they see you cross the street 4 seconds before the light turns green. You don't notice the 7 megapixel camera above the intersection. You don't notice the AI matching your face against the National Police database in real time. You don't notice your photo appearing on the LED billboard behind you, 20 feet tall, your name and the first 6 digits of your government ID number displayed beside your face for every pedestrian and driver to see. You're already across the street. You're already at the office. You're already at your desk. But the system noticed. The system always notices. That night, you get a text message. A fine. 20 yuan, about $3. You pay it through WeChat. You don't think about it again for 3 weeks until your Sesame credit score drops 15 points. Sesame Credit. It's run by Ant Financial, which is connected to Alibaba, which is connected to everything in your digital life. Your shopping, your bill payments, your social connections, your search history, your browsing patterns. The score goes up to 950. Yours was 720. Respectable. Not excellent. Now it's 705. You check the app, no explanation. Just a number that quietly got smaller. 705 is fine. You can still rent an apartment without a deposit. You can still get a discount on a bike share. You can still borrow an umbrella from the machine at the subway station without a cash deposit. The kind of rewards that make you forget that a private company is grading your behavior like a school teacher grading homework. 6 months later, you post something online. It's not political. It's not even controversial. You share an article on Weibo about pollution levels in your province. The article is from a domestic news source. You add a comment. Maybe if they spent less on cameras and more on air filters, we wouldn't need masks to walk to work. You get 43 likes. You get 2 shares. You also get a visit from your neighborhood committee the following week. Every residential block in China has one. They're volunteers, mostly retired men and women, and their job is to maintain social harmony. The woman who visits you is polite. She's in her 60s. She brings you a pamphlet about environmental regulations. She tells you the government is working very hard on air quality. She suggests that online comments can be misunderstood and that it's better to raise concerns through proper channels. She smiles and leaves. You didn't know anyone was watching your Weibo post? Now you know everyone is. Your Sesame score drops again. You notice this time because you try to rent an apartment in a nicer district. The landlord checks your score. He tells you he's looking for tenants above 700. You move into a smaller apartment in a cheaper area. You don't post about pollution again. You pay every bill on time. You buy things from approved vendors. You donate to a government-endorsed charity during the Lunar New Year campaign. Your score climbs back to 710. You feel relief. You feel grateful. Then you feel something else. Something you can't quite name. You feel grateful to a number on a screen for allowing you to live normally. Then your cousin gets blacklisted. Your cousin owns a small logistics company. He lost a lawsuit, a contract dispute, and the court ordered him to pay $127,000. He didn't have it, not all of it. He tried to negotiate a payment plan. The court rejected it. 6 months later, without warning, his name appeared on the Supreme People's Court's list of dishonest persons. The Blacklist. 9.5 million names and growing. Your cousin's name is now searchable on the court's public website. Anyone can look him up. His clients did. They stopped doing business with him. His phone rings less. His contracts dry up. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what happens when you're on the list. He tries to buy a plane ticket. Rejected. He tries to buy a high-speed train ticket. Rejected. In 1 year alone, 17.5 million flight purchases were blocked, and 5.5 million train purchases were blocked because the buyers were on the blacklist. Your cousin is now one of them. He can't book a hotel above 3 stars. He can't take out a loan. He can't get a new credit card. He can't buy property. He can't send his daughter to the private school she's been attending for 3 years. A student was once denied entry to a university because her father's name was on a debtor blacklist. Your cousin's daughter is pulled out of her school. She cries for a week. He tells her they're just switching schools. He doesn't tell her why. In some cities, if you call someone who's on the blacklist, you don't hear a ringtone. Instead, you hear a recorded message. The person you are calling has been listed as dishonest by the court. Please urge them to fulfill their legal obligations. His friends stop calling. The system didn't just punish him, it made him contagious. Your cousin's name stays on the list for 2 years. He sells his car. He borrows from relatives. He pays the debt in installments that the court eventually accepts. When his name is finally removed, he applies for a credit card. Denied. The bank still has him flagged. He spends another 6 months clearing records he didn't know existed. He tells you, getting on the list takes a second. Getting off takes your whole life. You watch what happened to him. You adjust your behavior. You pay a restaurant bill you were disputing because you're afraid of what happens if you don't. You agree to a bad deal with the supplier because fighting it in court might put you on a list. You stop lending money to friends because if they don't pay you back and you sue, the process could flag you too. You're careful with your phone now. You know that WeChat monitors conversations for sensitive keywords. You know that the Great Firewall blocks VPNs, foreign news sites, Google, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You use the domestic internet. You browse approved sites. You watch approved content. You don't search for Tiananmen Square. You don't search for the Dalai Lama. You don't search for Taiwan independence. You don't search for anything that might put a flag next to your name in a database you'll never see. You use facial recognition to enter your office building. You use it to unlock your phone. You use it to pay for lunch. You used it to check into the hotel last month. Your face is your identity. Your face is your wallet. Yeah, your face is your key. And your face is how they track you from the subway to the supermarket to your front door. At a crosswalk in Shenyang, a child jaywalks. The camera catches it. The billboard displays the child's face, unblurred beside their name. In Ningbo, a traffic camera catches the face of a woman on the side of a passing bus. It's an advertisement. The face belongs to Dong Mingzhu, the CEO of one of China's largest appliance companies. Her photo appears on the jaywalking billboard. She wasn't even there. The system accused a bus ad of being a person. Nobody turns the system off. Your parents are older now. They live in a smaller city where the social credit pilot programs are more aggressive. Your mother tells you that the neighborhood committee installed a camera in the hallway of her apartment building. She tells you that a neighbor was visited by the police for practicing Falun Gong in her apartment. How did they know? Now, someone reported her. Or a camera picked up the movements. Or an algorithm flagged her internet searches. Nobody knows. That's the point. When you don't know how the system watches, you assume it watches everything. Your father stopped visiting the mosque on Fridays. He's not Uyghur, he's Hui. He's been Muslim his whole life. But he heard what happens in Xinjiang. The checkpoints. The facial recognition scanners at every entrance. The mandatory phone apps that scan your device for religious content. The re-education camps where people disappear for praying too often, for growing a beard, for owning a Quran. Your father is 1,500 miles from Xinjiang, but he's afraid. He prays at home now with the curtains drawn. You get promoted at work. Your score is 730. Your employer checked it before the promotion. Some companies won't hire anyone below 650. Some dating apps show your score on your profile. People swipe left if the number is too low. You've seen it happen. A colleague was rejected from a job at a state-owned enterprise because his score was 640. He couldn't find anyone to tell him. He appealed through the government's credit information portal. The response took 4 months. It said his score reflected his comprehensive credit evaluation. No specifics, no breakdown, no path to fix it except to be better. Better at what? At being watched. You're 34 years old. You have a good job, a decent apartment, a score of 730. You pay your taxes. You don't jaywalk anymore. You don't post opinions online. By every measure the system uses, a model citizen. And you are exhausted. You're exhausted from performing, from monitoring yourself, from calculating every purchase, every click, every conversation, through the lens of how the system might interpret it. Yeah, you didn't commit a crime. You didn't betray your country. You just live in a place where trust is a number, and the number is always watching. Some nights you think about the journalist Liu Hu. He was an investigative reporter. He published an article about government corruption. He was sued for defamation. The court ordered him to pay a small fine. He wired the money, but it went to the wrong account. The court didn't tell him. Months later, he couldn't buy a plane ticket. He was blacklisted. He couldn't buy property. He couldn't travel. He tried to sue the court for abuse of power. No one responded. He's still on the list. You think about them, and you think about how easy it would be for that to be you. One wrong account number, one unfortunate date on a letter, one algorithm that decides you're untrustworthy, and the world closes in. You don't fight the system. Nobody fights the system. You become the person the system wants you to be. Obedient, predictable, quiet. You buy the right things. You say the right things. You associate with the right people. You smile at the camera above the crosswalk, and you wait for the light to turn green, even when the street is empty and it's 2 a.m. and there isn't a car for miles. Because the camera is watching. 700 million lenses, 1.4 billion faces, and somewhere in Shenzhen, a 22-year-old is running late for her first day at a new job. She checks her phone. She checks her score. She looks at the crosswalk. The light is red. She has 14 seconds. She could make it. She looks up and sees the camera. She waits.